الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وبعد. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وارزقنا فهما والحمد لله على كل حال ونعوذ بالله من حال أهل الضلال برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. First and foremost, we praise our nourisher, sustainer, the provider, omnipotent, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and thereafter we send the choices of salutations and salam on the best of creation, our role model, and the best of examples, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May the same salutations, peace and blessings be upon his pure household, his companions. May the same salutations and blessings shower us all on this beautiful day of Jumu'ah. Alhamdulillah wa alhamdulillah, we are privileged to once again meet for our second episode and session regarding the advices that Hujjatul Islam Abu Hamidin al-Khazali rahimahullah ta'ala had beautifully illustrated in his work Ihya Ulumuddin. And last week we opened the topic of the destruction of human being. And so before I begin and commence, I greet you all with the most authentic greeting in Islam, and that is the greeting of peace and love. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the glorious Quran says, Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Verily and indeed, the human race in its totality, in its entirety, is at loss. The human race in its entirety and totality is at destruction. And to get a better understanding of the phenomenon that Allah Ta'ala and the legislator is describing here in the Quran, even though that there is an exception. There is an exception for those people that have Iman, those people that have firm faith in the Creator, those people that follow that Iman and that monotheism with righteous deeds, those people that advise one another with patience, and those people that want to advise one another to that which is the truth. So those people are exempted from Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Those people are exempted from humanity being at loss and at destruction. But in order to fall and to be a part of the exemption and the exception that Allah Ta'ala made in this beautiful chapter, which is the chapter of time, again bringing a so much sophisticated, complex phenomena and concept, which is time, the concept of time. Today we focus on the attributes of the heart. So last week we went into the definition of the heart, we went into the relationship of the heart and the ruh and the nafs, and today we're going to try to understand the inner nature of the heart, because last week we understood that the heart consists of certain soldiers. Those soldiers constitute irada, qudra, and willpower, the soldiers of ability, and the soldiers of implementation of that ability, the soldiers of implementation of that willpower. Okay, so he goes to further analyze the amazing instruments that is found in the heart. Okay, so Here he goes on to say, إن الإنسان اصطحب في خلقته أربع شوائب. When we look at the human being sophisticated and so complex as it is, we need to understand that when you're looking at the heart of the human being, there are certain things that accompany this heart, okay? And those things continuously will be with us. And he refers to it as a negative, actually. So he says there are four negative qualities that is found within the heart. So the first of these negative attributes, and perhaps you can document this if you are taking notes of this book, very important to take notes. The first of these negative attributes that is found in the heart is what Al-Ghazali refers to as as-sabu'iyya. Okay, as-sabu'iyya, which means the predatory nature of a human. Okay, so we find that animals, we refer to animals as predators, like lions, tigers. These are predators. The inner nature is to hunt, and to kill. Okay, so this is deep down in the human realm. There is this concept of sabu'iyya. A human is a predator in his nature, and this quality and attribute, he refers to it as a negative attribute that is found deep down in our hearts. The second negative attribute Ghazali mentions is al-bahimiyya. Al-bahimiyya. And al-bahimiyya refers to the bestial nature that is found in human beings. And we will give examples of how Ghazali demonstrates and illustrates the bestial nature of humans. The third negative quality that is found within the heart is referred as ash-shaytaniyya, which is the satanic, to be satanic in one's nature. So that shaitani inclination, that shaitani, that devil instinct, if you like, okay, the satanic instinct is found also deep down within the heart. And then the last, and he refers to this as the Rabbani, the divine instinct. It is also found in the heart. So these are the four negative qualities Ghazali refers to. So he goes on to illustrate, okay, if the human being is overpowered by anger, okay, if the human being is overpowered by anger, in that moment that you become angry, in that moment that you become irritated and you become agitated with, you know, that child that is making a noise of that, or something that you just become agitated with, okay, then the instinct that is actually kicking in order for that anger to overtake and to overcome you as a person is that actions, your predatory instinct nature, right, which is enmity, hatred, anger, attack, through either reacting by beating up the child, or your predatory nature could even be expressed in responding with vulgar language. Okay, so it doesn't mean that your predatory nature can only be exposed through attack and beating up someone, but it can also be exposed through the verbal manner, which is swearing, shouting, etc. So this is an illustration of the first negative, right? How the predatory instinct kicks in. Okay. The second negative illustration that Ghazali goes on to make is when desire overpowers the body and the vessel of the human being, what the human being then indulges into, when he gives into that desire, he actually gives into his bestial nature. So that desire that we have, it's actually compared to animals. It's actually compared to, because he refers to it as af'alul bahaim, the actions of cattle, right? And when this desire kicks in, and all of us have desires, the desire is so strong that it overpowers the human body, in the sense that he now wants to indulge into those bestial nature actions, right? And he's very keen to actually fulfill this. In terms of the attribute, which is instinct, this is referred to in the Quran chapter of the Ascension, which is Surah Al-Isra, verse 85, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. Tell them, inform them, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the ruh is of the affairs of my Lord. Okay, so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is instructed to inform humanity that the ruh and the spirit is of the affairs of his Lord. So here we see فَإِنَّهُ يَدَّعِي لِنَفْسِهِ الرُّبُوبِيَّةِ ويحب الاستيلاء والاستعلاء والتخصص والتفرد بالرئاسة والانسلال عن العبودية والتواضع والاطلاع على العلوم. So this divine instinct that is found within the human being, you see that he self-claims this lordship. He loves the position of being in authority. He loves being in power. He loves being in the seat where he is able to control. He loves where he is specified and he is the center of attraction. He loves singularity. He loves this concept, me and I. He loves the word that, we're only speaking about him or she. He loves leadership roles. And this is all giving into that divine instinct, right? And he is very far from which, as human, the different sciences. ومن حيث يختص عن البهائم. So what separates or makes the human being unique from Bahaim? And I said Bahaim are animals. What makes human beings unique from animals? Because at the end of the day, if you look at these natural instincts that we have as human, we are very similar to animals. So he says the thing that makes the human being unique, what makes him unique, before I point out his unique characteristic, it's important to understand the similarities that we share as humans with animals, because many people, even in the famous logic example, is that when they define what a human being is, they say al-insan hayawan, al-insan hayawan natiq. And if you translate that, it actually means that the human being is a intellectual animal. Okay. And that's the definition of logicians. But we need to obviously understand the terminology that is meant by animal and the terminology that is meant by intellectuality. Or even some would translate that as a speaking human being, right? Or a human being that is regarded as a speaking animal. But in terms of the terminology and the intended meaning of those words are very specific to the scholars of logic. Okay, so please do not take it literally. But here he says that we participate in terms of our characteristics with animals, in the sense that animals become angry, we become angry. Human beings have desires, animals have desires, and this is where we could participate, and this is where we actually indulge into our satanic instincts. Okay, so he then goes on to say also that human beings are very similar to the fact that we are able to use, okay, conduct the different ways of evil. We are able to understand what is evil. Okay, we are able to understand and perceive what evil truly is. We are also able to realize the objectives of people trying to plot and plan and trying to trick us. And this is when we make manifest our evil towards that person. And these are some of the ethics and the characteristics of Satan. So in total, when we look at the human being, Ghazali then summarizes the human being in the following statement by saying that al-insan khinzirun, right, is a khinzir, meaning not the human itself, but the attributes that we're speaking about. Okay, so he refers to the pig as the desirous instinct. So that quality which we said is deep down in the heart of the human being, which is our desire, Ghazali refers to that desire as the khinzir, okay, which means literally a pig. And then he refers to the dog. So he says the dog, huwa al-ghadab. The dog is actually the anger. So when you become angry, he says that is the dog, meaning the bestial nature that he's trying to describe in us. And then he goes on to say that the satanic nature, meaning when we have that devil thoughts, this is now improved by the desire of the pig and the anger of the predator. Okay. So what he's doing here is he's saying he's actually making a metaphor, and this is a metaphor that sounds very beautiful in the Arabic language, and perhaps it might sound a bit strange as I'm translating the ibarah. But he says that the shaitan yuhayyij shahwat al-khinzir wa ghayth as-sabwa. Okay, so he's saying that when we speak about your desire being the pig, we are actually trying to say that that is a devil that is trying to beautify this desire of the pig and beautify this anger of a predator. Hakim, but at the same time, the human being he has wisdom, and that wisdom that Ghazali refers to is that Ghazali says there's a pig nature in us, there's a dog nature in us, there's a satanic nature in us, and in the fourth one he refers to here is that we have wisdom, and this refers to our intellect. So أمور بأن يدفع كيد الشيطان بأن يكشف عن تلبيسه. So the intellect is actually ordered and commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to actually ward off and to push us away from the plot and the plan of Satan and the devil, in order for us to realize and understand, discover the talbis and the illusion, the deception that Iblis is trying to create, and to break that desire of the pig by being able to control that dog nature deep down, and to ward off that, that instinct of the dog by controlling that pig nature with deep down. So if the human being is able to do this, which is very difficult, and we will explain in our further episode, inshallah ta'ala, how one could achieve this. If you're able to do this, then your life, you will see it will have istiqamah. It shall go on to some type of straight affair, and your condition will go according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes as the sirat al-mustaqim, right? When you're able to control these things, this will lead you to the straight path. However, if you are unable, and which is most of the time we fall prone to indulging into our anger, indulging into our desire, when to happen, these things to overpower you, right? And then instead of using this as instruments that could assist you as a human being, it actually is now being used against you. Okay, فلا يزال في تدقيق الفكر ليشبع الخنزير ويرضي الكلب. So most of the time, what we are doing, we are actually satisfying the intellect, right? And our reflection is actually satisfying where we are feeding the pig, right? And here the pig, I mean, we are feeding our desire. وَيُرْضِيَ الْكَلْبِ, and we are pleasing the dog. And here I mean our anger. So when you give into your anger, you're pleasing the dog. When you give into your desire, then you are feeding your pig, right? And when you do that, فَيَكُونُ دَائِمًا فِي عِبَادَةِ كَلْبٍ وَفِنْزِيرٍ. Ya salam. Look at that. Subhanallah. Ghazali says that when you do this, when you give into your desire, which he refers to as the pig, when you give into your anger, right, which he refers to the dog, then he says then you are actually worshipping, and you are in continuous devotion and complete worship of the dog and the pig. Why? Because you are continuously feeding your bestial and your predatory nature. So you will see the mannerisms automatically that stem from that is the mannerisms of his khanazir and the mannerisms of kilab, the mannerisms of dogs and pigs. He says, وَهَذَا حَالُ أَكْثَرِ النَّاسِ. He says, unfortunately, this is the condition and the situation of most people. وَالْعُجْبِ, right? And what is amazing is, مِمَّنْ يُنْكِرُ عَلَى عَبَدَةِ الْأَصْنَامِ عِبَادَتَهُمْ, the very people, we as Muslims, we condemn the people that worship idols, right? And the fact that they worship stones, and we make them look as they the laughing stock. But he says, if we were to remove the cover, right? If we were to take the blanket off our eyes, and we actually discover the reality of our own condition, then we would have seen ماثلا بين يدي خنزير ساجدا له مرة وراكعا أخرى ومنتظرا لإشارته وأمره، أو رأى نفسه ماثلا بين يدي كلب عقور عابدا له مطيعا له سامعا، وهذا غاية الظلم. الله أكبر. He says that if we were to actually pull the blanket off our heads, because we're laughing at people that worship stones and we're laughing at people that worship idols, and we condemn these actions. But if he says, if we had to just look a little closer at our own selves, okay, and I'm speaking about ourselves, yeah, I'm speaking about myself, and I take this as an advice first to myself, right? Remember, we're discussing the things that destroys us as human beings. So the true reality and nature of the human being is that he says, if you to look deep down, he says, then you will actually find yourself prostrating to this pig, which is your desire, and making ruku at, because if you give into that desire, you are actually worshipping that thing. Okay, and every time, so think of it like this: when you give into your desire, you're making sujood to the khinzir. When you give into your desire, you're making ruku to that khinzir. And Ghazali says it's almost as if you're waiting for that khinzir, right? Which is the pig. You're waiting for this pig to tell you, and to give you that that sign. Let's go, right? Meaning, fulfill your desire, and you're waiting for that pig to actually command you to fulfill that bestial nature. So he says, if we really had to look at ourselves, then we would find ourselves prostrating to pigs and dogs. A dog, a treacherous dog that we are actually obeying, and we're listening to this dog. Why? Because when we give into our if we give into our anger, then we're listening to the dog. The dog barks, right? When he becomes angry. So when you bark and you shout and you swear, when you do those actions, then you have given into that dog. Then you have become an obedient servant to the dog. Okay, and he says this is the pinnacle of oppression and injustice. To who? To yourself. This is injustice to ourselves. Okay. The consequence of this, and I'll conclude with this point, is that يترتب على طاعة الخنزير أو على طاعة خنزير الشهوة صدور صفة الوقاحة. Okay, so the consequence of obeying the pig of our desire is that we then start to form hearts that will be filled with filth, hearts that will be filled with extravagance, greed, hearts that will be filled with stinginess, hearts that will be filled with boastful sanity, and hearts that will be filled with the amusement of this dunya. Hearts that are very keen to only this worldly and materialistic life that we're living. Hearts that are only there to satisfy the envy, jealousy towards others. They despise. The hearts that will be filled with tahqir, right? Hearts that is full of despise. We don't like other people must succeed. Hearts that is full of blasphemy and shamata, where we always, swearing at ourselves. He says by and that is by feeding the khinzir. That is by feeding the khinzir. And remember, the khinzir is your desire. So when you feed your desire, this is the heart that you are forming. You are forming and you are feeding that heart. You are feeding this vessel, right? And that vessel, because your iman, remember, comes from your heart. And when you feed your vessel with all these filth, right, then the outside will only then also be filth. I go on to the second. Referring to your anger. The consequence of this is that we will be filled with haughtiness, filled with mockery, always joking around, filled with, everything, so right, man, that mentality. We will be filled with despising creation. We will be, our hearts will be filled with willpower to want to do evil. The willpower and that desire to oppress and do injustice to someone else. So many people ask themselves, why is it that I want to do bad? Why do I think of bad? The two primary reasons that Ghazali taught us now was that we are continuously feeding our desire and we're continuously feeding our anger. So when you continuously feed your anger and your desire, these are the qualities that build up inside you. This is now what your heart then forms, and that goes up to your thoughts, that then eventually becomes a motive, that motive eventually becomes an idea, that idea eventually becomes an action, that action becomes a regret. Then it's too late. Okay. Then we need to go to the road of Tawbah. He goes on, and we end with this section. Obedience to shaitan and obedience to our desire, obedience to our anger. The consequence of being obedient to these things, to our desire, to our shaitan, and to our anger, right, is that it builds up in us a treacherous nature. It builds up in us a deceitful nature. It builds up in us a nature where we want to transgress and rebel. It builds up in us a nature of talbis, deception, illusion, right? So now Satan is able to elude us because our vision is not anymore straight. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ says that the mu'min, the true believer, he looks with the farasa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He looks with the physiognomy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that means yanzuru bi nurillah. He looks with the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He hears with the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He talks with the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the true mu'min. But when we feed our bodies with anger, desire, with the satanic thoughts, then these qualities creep up into our minds and our ideas. Okay? And then he ends off by saying that it will also build up the quality of cheating. Okay? So whether you cheat in life, whether you cheat in exams, whether you cheat in any aspect of life, you're cheating, period. Where did it come from? By feeding the shaitan. How do you feed shaitan? When you're obedient to shaitan. How do you feed shaitan? When you're obedient to your desire. How do you feed this cheating concept? When you feed your anger. Inshallah, we stop on this particular point, and inshallah ta'ala, next week we continue to explain the majma' or saf al-qalb, the characteristics of the heart and how we ask Allah Ta'ala to grant and purify our hearts. We ask Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to make us of those who are able to wash their hearts with the water of Zamzam. May Allah Ta'ala purify and our hearts from hypocrisy, and protect our actions from haughtiness, and protect our tongues from falsehood, and protect our eyes from shameful deeds. For indeed He is the knower of the bosoms and that which it reveals and that which it conceals. It is through His mercy that we seek your mercy, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, Ya Akram al-Akramin. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Shukran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة.